สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. The holiday season is coming up, so we are going to do some Christmas baking or New Year baking or whatever it is you celebrate. They're basically festive little cookies that are great as gifts. We are making Singapore cookies, or in Thai, cookie Singapore. Now, apparently, it's not a thing in Singapore. They have a similar thing called cashew cookies. I don't know why we call them Singapore cookies, but basically they are little shortbread cookies with a cashew on top with an egg yolk glaze. And today we are going to make ours with black sesame flavor. They are so good, and you can make them in advance and package them and send them to someone far away. Oh, perfect. Let's get started. First order of business, the black sesame seeds. Now, what you want to do is toast these, and to do that, put them in a saute pan, dry with no oil or anything, and just keep toasting them over medium heat until they start popping and smoking. Now, because they're black, it's very hard to tell if they're toasted or burnt or under toasted. So what I go by is once they start popping a lot, let them pop for about 10-15 seconds and turn it off. Look at them really closely, and some of the black coating will start to split, and you can see the white seed underneath the split. And if that white seed has browned, then you know that they're toasted. You do not want to get lazy and skip this part. I know we all try to shortcut recipes all the time. This is not a place to do it. If you are in a rush, you can buy sesame seeds already toasted. Usually in the Japanese aisle, they sell black sesame seeds already toasted. If you don't toast these, you will not get that iconic black sesame flavor. Also important that you don't under toast it. If you under toast it, again, the full flavor won't come out, okay? We're gonna grind it up into a powder. You can also make white ones with white sesame seeds. If you don't like sesame at all, you can just do ground toasted cashews. Here goes. And I'm pulsing and shaking it because I do not want this to turn into sesame butter. There we go. And I know mine was nicely toasted because I can see a tint of brown once I've ground it up. Now we're gonna just mix up our dry ingredients. So I've got some all-purpose flour here. Now my little secret is I'm gonna mix in some tapioca starch. Tapioca starch is going to reduce the total amount of gluten in this recipe, and it's gonna make the cookies tender and crumbly, and it gives almost a creaminess after you start chewing. A little bit of salt. Go in with the black sesame. Give that a whisk. You want this well mixed before you mix it in with the wet ingredients. I have got my stand mixer here, which I love, but you don't need this. You can just use the hand mixer, or you can even do this by hand if you want. It'll take a little more time, but it's not a big deal. I'm gonna beat in some unsalted butter, which has been softened. So I pulled this out last night. Beat it a couple of times just to break up the butter. That's it, on lowest speed. Again, I do not want to whisk air into it. So icing sugar or powdered sugar. Ooh. This is when I always inhale sugar and suddenly it's sweet in my mouth. Neutral flavored oil, anything will do that's neutral flavored. And now we're just gonna mix it until it's combined on the lowest speed. Scrape the side one time, just to get everybody in the pool. I'm going to add my dry ingredients. See, this is almost done. Only about half of it. I just find it mixes more easily if I do it half at a time. Then you go in with the other half. And I find you kick up less flour in the air this way too. Okay, I'm gonna give it a quick scrape just to make sure nothing is left unattended at the very bottom. So get to the very bottom. One last stretch. That's it, it's done. Now it's going to look crumbly, that's what you want. It'll come together in the end, but at this point what you're looking for is that it's a homogeneous texture, that you don't have any lumps of butter or any lumps of dry flour, and all this will come into a dough in no time. And now you're just gonna quickly knead this together into a ball. And you're not really kneading it like bread, you're just trying to bring it together into a dough, so it's not crumbly anymore, and see it's sticking together quite nicely. If at this point you're kneading it and it's cracked. It's not holding together well. It's cracking everywhere. Put it back in the mixer. Add like a teaspoon of oil at a time to try to moisten it a little bit more. Okay, so now that it's sort of a dough, I've got little cracks, that's okay. The problem I was talking about is if it's just kind of everywhere. Now we're gonna flatten it into a sheet about 1 centimeter thick. So these cookies are quite thick, and which is why they're so cute, because they're a tiny little cookie, but they're thick, so they're like this little cube. So I'm gonna use my rolling pin, but I find it's easier to get it started by just sort of hitting it. Don't worry about the cracks that form. It will resolve itself out. Roll it out a little more. See, because this dough is quite moist, it tends to stick, so the bashing works well. So 1 centimeter, and now I'm gonna try to salvage the edges. And you will not overwork this dough. There's too much butter in here. And the tapioca starch helps as well. Is it a little thick? Yeah, it's a little thick. I'm gonna... Yeah, that's good. Okay, so once you've got it down to the right thickness, just give it a roll to smooth out the surface, because you want this to be a flat surface. And now it's cookie cutter time. For cookies Singapore, you want little cookie cutters, okay? They're supposed to be bite-sized, cute little things. I got these at the Japanese dollar store, and they were actually labeled vegetable cutters. Avoid cookie cutters that have a lot of small, thin corners. Those are going to burn quickly, and also this is a pretty crumbly dough, so those edges will tend to break off more easily. So something that's round-ish. If you're happy with the amount of flours that you have and you're just getting lazy towards the end, because trust me, this is gonna feel like, oh my god, this is lasting forever. I keep having more and more dough. I just cut them into squares, and those are the ones that I'll eat myself, and those ones if I'm gonna give it to other people, because at some point you're just like, all right, that's enough. Nothing wrong with squared cookies. These cookies are gonna get little cashews garnished on top, but the thing is, you only need 1/2 of a cashew, and they almost never sell cashews already split. And these are raw, but if all you can find is roasted, they will work as well. What you do is you hold a paring knife, you grip the blade so it's firm. If there's sometimes there's a little button right here, remove the little button. It's like a little nut. And wedge the knife into the middle of the cashew, and then just rock the knife forward and backward, and eventually it'll get inside. And some cashews will split right now, but some are sort of more tightly bound together, so you have to go a little further before you can cleanly split them off. Now we're gonna give these cookies Singapore the iconic glaze, and it's simply just egg yolk. So I've got an egg yolk here and a pastry brush, and then brush the top just like that. And now I'm gonna put the cashews on, and it's like a little smiley face. I've seen one where they use a little rubber ducky cookie cutter, and then the cashews are like wings. That was really cute too. These are raw right now, but by the time they come out, they will be perfectly roasted. If you already have roasted cashews, when they come out, they'll still be roasted. They're not gonna be burnt, so don't worry about that. Just one more glaze quickly over the cashews. Now, if you were lazy and you needed a shortcut, you could just put the cashews on and then put the glaze on. I just find that way, because of this little corner here, it's hard to get the glaze evenly on the cookie. So I like to do a brush on the cookie first when it's flat, and then do one more brush at the end. All right, off again. Check these out. They are so cute. I look at the bottom and it should just have a light golden color on it. If you got no color at all, the flavor isn't as intense. I like it a little bit toasty. So I'm gonna show you the white sesame ones that I made. Exact same recipe, except I used toasted white sesame instead of black. So same idea. A little bit of a light brown color on these. I actually like to make 2, because then they look really cute side by side, black and white. They're almost too cute to eat. I'm surprised how good these are every time I eat them because they look so, they look like regular simple shortbread cookies, but the flavor of the toasted black sesame really brings them to another level, and suddenly there's something exotic that you don't run into very often. Nice and brittle, and because of that tapioca, as you chew, it just becomes a little bit creamy. So for the holiday season, pack these up for your friends or bake them for yourselves, but I have to warn you, these are addictive. When I was testing for this recipe, I had some lying around in the house and they did not last long. It was terrible in a good way. So I hope you give this a try. The recipe, as always, is on hotthaikitchen.com. When you make it, send me a photo, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'd love to see if you make them into different shapes. And send me the photos and I'll include them into my newsletter. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can do so right here, and I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal.